My name is Nina, and this is the time I got invited to a celebrity's house party. When my friend Jazzy, a model with connections to just about everyone, invited me to a celebrity party, I couldn't believe it. Me? At a celebrity's party? I didn't know what to expect. My life is not that exciting, so this was a surprise. But Jazzy is a different story. She has 300K followers, travels and appears in rappers' music videos. I've known her since we were kids. We grew up in the same small town and went to the same high school. She was only 18 when a modeling scout saw her at a coffee shop, sipping an iced latte. That's when her life changed. Now, while I'm working a regular 9 to 5 and binge-watching TV shows on weekends, Jazzy is traveling the world. Every time I scroll on social media, there she is, posing in Paris, lounging on a yacht in the Mediterranean, or laughing with other models at rooftop parties. Her life looks like a movie. Mine? Well, not so much. So I was honored when she invited me to the party. I don't party much, but when she mentioned it was a celebrity's party, I didn't hesitate. I was so nervous I didn't know what to expect or who I was going to meet. The night of the party, I put on the best dress I owned. Nothing too fancy, but good enough to not feel out of place. Jazzy picked me up in her sleek black car, already looking like she belonged on a magazine.
"Are you ready, girl?"
she said while I was entering her car. I told her I was nervous and asked her if it was a good idea to come along. I didn't want to feel like an outsider.
"Girl, don't worry about a thing. They're just normal people like you and I."
But I knew they weren't. When we arrived, the mansion was beautiful. It was luxurious, something that I've never seen before. The streets lined with luxury cars and paparazzi lurking in the shadows, trying to catch glimpses of anyone famous. My heart was racing. I felt so out of place next to Jazzy. As we approached the entrance, 2 security guards, huge guys dressed in all black, stood by the front door. But when we reached the front, one of the guards held out his hand.
"No phones."
He said in a gruff voice. Jazzy raised an eyebrow.
"Excuse me?"
"If you want to enter, you'll need to hand over your phones. They'll be locked up for the duration of the party."
The guard explained, pointing to a table covered in small lockboxes behind him. I glanced at Jazzy, unsure of what to do. This wasn't exactly the vibe I was expecting. I mean, I get that celebrities are private and all, but giving up our phones was a little weird.
"I guess it's no big deal. They probably don't want anybody sneaking pictures or something,"
she said, trying to reassure me. I, on the other hand, was way more hesitant. My phone was my lifeline, especially at an event like this where I didn't know anyone. But the guard wasn't budging. He stood there waiting, expressionless, as Jazzy handed over her phone. Reluctantly, I pulled mine out too. He placed both of our phones in separate lockboxes, handed us small keys on wristbands, and gestured for us to go inside. As soon as we stepped through the door, we were greeted with a room full of people I recognized. There were actors and actresses, music artists, models, and even athletes. I was excited seeing all these famous people in one room, but then the excitement vanished within seconds. There was a weird vibe that I felt, maybe because I didn't have my phone. I don't know, it felt off. Jazzy, on the other hand, floated across the room. She was speaking to everybody and sipping champagne like she's been doing this for years. Meanwhile, I stood off to the side, feeling like a stranger in a world I didn't belong to. I needed to loosen up, so I made my way over to the bar to grab a drink. My heels clicked against the polished floor as I weaved between people. That's when I noticed something strange. Across the room, near the staircase, people were slipping inside a side door. They moved quickly, like they didn't want to be noticed. There wasn't anything special about the door itself, just a regular wooden door. But what caught my eye was the security guard in front of it. He was dressed in all black, like the ones who took our phones. I started to get curious on what was so special about that room. I couldn't help but watch as more people walked up to the door, whispered something to the guard, and disappeared inside. First thing that came to mind was that maybe they're doing drugs, or it's a special VIP room or something. Or was something darker happening behind that door? Some of the people that walked out had that dazed look, like they'd just woken up from a deep sleep. Others looked strangely jittery, like they were filled with nervous energy. I tried to shake the thought, reminding myself I was just here to enjoy the party, not to get wrapped up in whatever weird sideshow was happening. But even as I reached the bar and ordered a drink, I couldn't stop glancing back at that door. The more I stared, the weirder it got. The other strange thing was that the celebrity that was hosting the party was nowhere to be seen. They must be in that room. Jazzy, my friend who had brought me to this party, finally found me at the bar. She was laughing, looking carefree as ever.
You okay?
she asked, raising an eyebrow.
You don't look like you're having fun.
I stopped for a second, glancing back at the door before answering. What do you think is going on over there? I asked. She followed my nod and rolled her eyes.
Oh, that? It's probably nothing. It might be some VIP room or something. Rich people love their secrets, you know?
I glanced back at the door and told her she was right. But when I turned back to face her, she was gone. I looked through the crowd to find her, but it seemed like she vanished in thin air. As I stood there, lost in my thoughts, I suddenly felt a hand wrap around my wrist. I jumped, my heart skipping a beat as I turned to see a man standing beside me. When I looked up at his face, it was an actor I recognized from a TV show.
You have been eyeing that room this whole time,
he said, leaning in a little closer.
You want to know what's in there?
He asked, his voice low like it was a top secret. I was shocked that he was actually speaking to me. I honestly didn't know what to say. I glanced over his shoulder at the door again. Yeah, maybe a little, but I'm trying to find my friend, I said. He then looked around sarcastically.
Whoever your friend is, I don't see her around. It looks like you're here by yourself.
The way he was speaking gave me chills, and not in a good way. What's in there anyways? I asked.
Come with me and find out. That's where the real party is.
I'm sorry, I said. I don't feel comfortable leaving my friend.
Come on, are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure, sorry.
Whatever.
He looked annoyed and walked away. He went through the crowd and headed straight to the door and whispered something to the security guard. I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding and turned back to my drink, trying to shake off the strange encounter. But before I could even take a sip, a security guard approached me.
Excuse me, ma'am. You need to come with me.
Wait, what? Why? Confused and a little alarmed.
Please, don't make this difficult,
he said in an aggressive voice, his hand hovering near my arm as if he was ready to drag me out. But my friend is still here! Scanning the room for her, she was somewhere in the crowd, laughing and dancing, completely unaware of what was happening. I can't just leave. She's my ride. The guard didn't care. He grabbed my arm firmly and began guiding me toward the exit. This is a mistake, I pleaded, trying to keep my voice steady. I didn't do anything wrong. I was just standing at the bar.
Escorting her out now,
he said, his voice cold and mechanical. I glanced back one last time and saw the actor watching from a distance, his eyes locked on me, a satisfied smirk on his face. Is it because I refused going into the room, that asshole? The guard continued dragging me out. Wait! The door swung open, and I was outside, the cool night air hitting me like a slap. The guard that took my phone grabbed my wrist and took the wristband off. He then unlocked the lockbox and handed me my phone. They began escorting me to the big gate that secured the area. The guards let go of me without a word, turned, and walked back inside, leaving me standing there in the dark, alone. As I stood there in the cold, all I could think was how much I hated this world of privilege and entitlement, where people could have you tossed out on the street for no reason other than their bruised egos. After that night, I was convinced that we live in a machine that chews you up if you don't fit in and spits you out if you don't comply. I'm glad I didn't stay and find out what was going on in that weird-ass room. Jazzy also texted me after the party and said I was lame and never spoke to me again. It is what it is. I could care less. But all I know is there's something weird going on with these famous individuals. Always has been. And maybe the people that have been trying to point that out all these years aren't so crazy after all. Fuck Hollywood.
We've been driving around, singing songs way too loud because we wanna. Picking up our love friends, fill up the car till it bends because we wanna. Yeah, we just wanna have fun. The trunk's full of wine. We're gonna stay up, have the time of our lives. The night is young, don't need anybody else.
In the land of lights and lenses, the truth hides behind the curtain where the stars shine bright, but the shadows are darker.